Let's jump back into display because some things are not turned on by default in display. And if you want to get the most out of your Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus, here you go. Now you have light mode and dark mode. Battery life purposes, you can switch to dark mode or at least turn on dark modes during certain times of the day. So that way you can increase your battery life to some degree and it's easier on the eyes. I believe adaptive brightness is the best form of brightness for your phone because it'll automatically adjust it based off of your ambient light conditions. And I think that's much, much better than having a stagnant or static brightness level because that could drain your battery a little bit more or it could just be unnecessarily bright, doing damage to your eyes. So I suggest using adaptive brightness. Make sure your adaptive 120 hertz refresh rate is turned on. That way you're experiencing 120 hertz. Sometimes this is not turned on by default. I suggest you guys check that out. If you guys are interested in toning the color of your display to the ambient lighting, you can turn this on because it might show on camera, but it might get a little yellow. It did get a little yellow. So it'll change based off of your conditions. But as I turn it off, you see it went back to straight white. So it just depends on you. If this didn't affect video, maybe I would turn it on. But seeing that yellow hue on my display could mess with me a little bit. But it probably is good for your eyes as well because that more kind of yellowish light is better on the eyes than pure white and essentially that undertone blue. The next thing is screen resolution. This is usually on Full HD Plus by default out the box. Make sure you come in here on your S24 Plus or Ultra and turn it all the way up to QHD Plus to get the most out of your display. And then if you want to make sure your screen doesn't turn off on you the minute you set it down, turn this up. I turn it up to 5 minutes. Usually I have it on 10, but make sure you have keep screen on while viewing because if you're reading something for a long period of time, it will keep the screen active because it's recognizing your eyes through the camera. Now, it's not like on no level of Face ID or Optic ID from Apple. It's definitely not like that per se, but it'll just know that your attention is on your phone and it's not going to turn off the display if you're involved in something on your device. And for my screen protector users, if you come down here to touch sensitivity, make sure you turn this on so that way you can improve your fingerprint sensor activity as well as you operating your display in general because you have a screen protector on. You have one additional layer between your touch input and the display. So make sure you turn this on so that way you can comfortably and regularly navigate your phone. And always on display. Now this is where it gets a little fun if you're coming here to always on display. Some people don't realize that always on display was added with a new feature, but you can adjust it. By coming in here, you can show lock screen wallpaper or you can turn it off. And if you turn it off, you'll have your regular always on display. Going further than that, you can show your music information if you wanted to while you're on your always on display so you can still operate your music controls with the display off. But right here, when to show. Auto, I have it on auto because this adjusts the light and whether or not you're in a dark place, which will then dim it really down or turn it off completely. I like that feature because it works at night especially. But since I have like a sleep mode on, it turns off my always on display anyway. But at night, it'll just quiet down later on because it's darker in my surroundings. And I like that. But what you can also do is do always, and it will not be as affected by your ambient light. It will always just show on. It will not dim as low. Auto will dim much lower, and you can say auto is kind of more tied in with your adaptive smoothness, if you will, your 120 hertz. So all that kind of plays a role, in my opinion, and that's why the display would do what it does, along with adaptive brightness. I believe maybe even so, but don't hold me to it. If you don't have adaptive brightness on, maybe this will also affect always. But I believe always it will not dim as low because you're gonna always want it on to be able to see. Whereas auto will adjust based off of your lighting conditions. So I did want to highlight that for you guys here. But of course, these are your other options for your always on display. Next thing we could talk about is battery. And